Hello, everyone. Again, my name is Christy Goldfuss. I'm the Managing Director for the Council on Environmental Quality. And for those of you who don't know every single detail of the White House, let me just take a brief moment to explain what we do, what the Council on Environmental Quality is responsible for. So there are 11 different components in the White House. You may have heard of things like the National Economic Council or the National Security Council. Well, we're the council that's responsible for advising the president on the environment. So it's a broad portfolio that, we deal with everything from chemical spills, clearly to climate change, also to things that are more fun like national parks. So it's a phenomenal job, a huge responsibility, but right now it is one of the most exciting times to be here in the White House, and to have all of you here at this point where we're really seeing a change in how the American public feels about climate change and how we're talking about it both in the political space and in the education space. So as part of this conversation today, one of the things that has struck me, we've had many college students come in over the past year, talk about the work that they're doing on their campuses and how they're really kind of leading that work. But we also hear a lot of the political tension we have here in Washington, D.C. is not as prevalent on campuses, because your generation sees it very differently than some of the older generations. So I think we'll get into that as some of our conversation today. But I just wanted to start out by asking you guys, if you could each just take a few minutes, tell us a little bit more about yourselves and the work that you're doing and how you've gotten involved with this. So let's start with Robert.
Hey everyone. It's an honor to be here today. So I'm a student at Stanford University. I'm also the co-director of sustainability initiatives there for the student government, along with Chiamaka back there. But I really started off in my climate education journey from a love of nature as a child. And from there, I also really enjoyed science and technology. So I loved solar panels, wind turbines, all the really cool sustainable technologies. From that, I got involved with the Alliance for Climate Education in high school. I was working in my high school environmental impact club, and we brought them for the presentation, and it was a really incredible experience. And from there, I've really enjoyed trying to get other students involved in climate education as well, especially with all these really incredible conferences like the Green Schools Alliance Conference, and as well as all of these incredible resources we've just heard a lot about.
Hello everyone, my name is Ewujen Kote, and I'm a student at Rancho High School, if you guys missed that. But I really connected with some of the speakers today because they did mention that their childhood was very important in who they are today, and that's the same with me. It all started when I was in Europe, and it kind of sounds cheesy, but I used to run around the Carpathian Alps, and I just saw all of the beauty that was out there in the world. And when we moved here about 7 years ago, I was 10 years old, and it changed me because I realized I can go out there and change the world itself. It all started in high school. I was a freshman and I wanted to get into an environmental action club. And in that club, we completely revised the recycling policies, and we just started to see how much education on the environment can have an effect on not only students, but also on the surrounding community as well. From there, I did get involved with the Southern Nevada Water Authority's Advisory Council, which is one youth from each high school in our valley, which tries to strengthen the voice of youth in the southwest United States water issues that we all know we do have. I also continue to work with Green Schools National Society, and I am president of that today, and also am a student on the Keep America Beautiful National Youth Council. So through all of these organizations, I will continue to strive to bring awareness that youth really do have a voice, and we are the only ones that can truly make an impact on today's society.
Hello everyone, my name is Talia Schmidt, and I am a rising sophomore at the College of William & Mary. But I'm going to talk a little bit about what I've done right around here in Fairfax County. I've been very involved with National Wildlife Federation's Eco Schools USA program, where they provide different resources so that students can start their own projects. And I started a project called Eco Schools Leadership Initiative, or you can call it EASLY, and our slogan is, with a little bit of knowledge, you can easily make a difference. And what we do with that is we have high school and college students go to elementary schools once a month to teach kids about the environment through interactive games and activities. So for an example, I brought my cereal box folder, which you can see here. But we'll do something like we'll make a cereal box folder with them, and then we'll teach the kids about reduce, reuse, recycle. Or we'll play greenhouse gas tag with the kids, and we'll talk about climate change. And so we really are moving around, getting kids moving around. And so it's really exciting because what we've done is we started with just a few of us, and now we're branching out in Fairfax County. All of our resources are available online on our website. And anyone also, if you're interested, you can send me an email at ecoschoolleaders@gmail.com, and I'll send you more information. But basically, different high school and college students have these resources. They can pick a subject. They can go to the SAC after school program and teach the kids about the environment. So that's what we're doing right now. And if you're a teacher and you have suggestions as in terms of different lesson activities that you think would be really great for us to teach kids, send me an email. Again, ecoschoolleaders@gmail.com. Or if you're a high school student, college student, you want to get involved, also let me know. So this is kind of a project I'm working on right now, branching out throughout Virginia to kind of, again, empower the older students, giving them this leadership experience to teach younger students, and then giving those young students an opportunity, because we know that teachers are busy, and this is an opportunity through the after-school programs to actually get kids engaged and involved. So that's what I'm involved in right now.
Good morning. My name is Jack Ruiz. I'm a recent graduate of Christian Brothers Academy in Lincroft, and I'm a soon-to-be first-year student at Columbia University. My interest in climate education started when I was approached by one of my best friends who's here in the audience today, Microphone, and he asked me if I had an interest in helping with a project he's starting up. And from then, I was like, sure. And I brought my talent to the project, and the birth of our project called the Double Lever Press, which converts biomass waste into usable fuel, was pretty much born. And we started taking it around to fairs and showing it to other people to see if they actually enjoyed it. And we felt the best way to see if it truly can make an impact on the world was by testing it in a real third world setting. And I was able to take it to my mother's village of Valencia in Guatemala, a really rural village you can barely even find on a map. And from then on, I pretty much started enjoying it, enjoying the times, enjoying having a fun times with my best friends, while sometimes learning that I'm actually making an impact on the world and actually seeing other kids approaching us and wanting to be involved in it, asking ways in which they also can make an impact on deforestation or anything like that. And from then on, I was like, climate education is actually pretty fun and actually pretty interesting. So I think I'm going to keep going with it.
Talia, I think we heard from the other participants what sort of sparked their interest, but in your great description of the work you're doing, but what was that moment, that sort of aha moment for you that this was the work that you were interested in?
Yes, so what I always credit to was when I was in 6th grade, I lived in California and I went to an outdoor education center with my school for 2 weeks. And so it was called Walden West. And there's similar programs around here for 3 to 5 days, a week long, but basically it's for 6th grade students. You go for a week or whatever it is, and you live in cabins with your classmates and you learn about the environment. And so like these guys said, I think it's really about being out in the environment that kind of sparks passion. And so actually right now some of the initiatives we're trying to do is get Fairfax County. We know DC has an awesome program where all 5th grade students can go for free to an outdoor education center. We're trying to build something similar in Fairfax County and other places. But really, it's being outside that sparked my interest as well.
Ojen, we talk a lot about the drought around here, and certainly in California, it's changing the way people look at water. Can you, from your experience and what's happening in Nevada, can you talk at all about changes that you're seeing just in how you think people handle water and what needs to change in the future?
Yeah, of course. When I first got on that flight here from Europe, you noticed the obvious difference that it's dry, but it's a desert, so you can't get any better than that. But in Las Vegas, Nevada, we get all our water from the Colorado River, and there's a Hoover Dam, which is a man-made lake, and then Lake Mead. that lake has significantly dropped, and I've read so many statistics that, you know, we're going to run out of water by 2030 in Las Vegas, Nevada. And just people don't realize what's going on. Everybody says, oh, it's so hot, you know, it only rains 3 times a year, and nobody really does anything about it. So like I said, I try to go out there in schools and educate these students, and you know, they can take it to their parents, and it can just keep trickling down like a domino effect where it does have an impact. Maybe it's going to be turning off your water while you're brushing your teeth. Even something like that really does have an impact, because there are just so many limited resources that we have available for us, especially in Nevada. But now in California, you know, it's seen everywhere across the country because we get so much produce from California. And I have friends which just tell me it's so unbearably hot. You know, their crops in their backyards aren't flowering anymore, or they don't have enough water to water because of the restrictions. So it's really impacting everybody, and now that it's even more of a problem, I think the cities are taking more of an action to stop it with these restrictions, but people also have to take an interest and do something for themselves as well.
Do you mind if I jump in on that?
Of course, please do.
So I'm at the World Resources Institute right now working on the Aqueduct Project, which is a water risk mapping tool for global water stress. And actually in my research that I've been doing this summer, one of the really interesting statistics is that 45% of total water withdrawals in the US are from thermoelectric generation power plants. So that means that the Clean Power Plan will actually have a big impact on our water use as well as our climate. And I think this brings up a big point in climate education, which is that everything is very interconnected. It's climate, it's energy, it's food, it's water. So when we're teaching students and teaching us about climate, I think it's really important that we consider all the factors, because you never know what's going to spark one student's interest. If they enjoy kayaking, they're going to care a lot more about water than energy or a different side of the climate issue.
That's great. So to all of you, and just jump in a conversation style, what is the debate on your campuses with your friends, with your family members? I mean, obviously you all are leaders in this space, but there have to be some people who question what you're doing or question your focus. And in your peer group area, how do you respond to that? Jack, why don't you start? And how do you get questions, or is that just not even part of the world around you? Do most people just agree with what you're doing?
Sometimes we do get questions saying, what's the point of doing it if it's going to happen anyway? Like, there's always got to be, people always say there's always got to be climate change, or there's always going to be something happening. But then we have to tell them that it's going to happen, but we have to like sometimes decrease it or just stop it at all from actually creating a really big thing that can have a bad impact. So I always tell people, sometimes like, because as we like heard the whole day, people always tell you stop, you can't do anything. And we have to like tell them we actually can. We actually have an impact. Us students, us everybody in reality can just step up and do something and make a change for the better, because that's pretty much what we're here for, making the world a better place than we found it.
Yeah, I would like to add, yes, students sometimes are very skeptical, but from my own experience in my own high school and around the Valley, if you don't have the support of your faculty members in school, you will never get out there and reach your students. Yes, of course, I can myself go out there and try to make a big ordeal to the school board, but if you don't really get the interest sparked in teachers, principals, you will never have a recycling program, you will never have curriculum, you will never have something that can actually get out there to the students, because most of them don't know what's going on in the real world, and most of them are not educated on it. But if they did have that one spark, it can really start a fire and, you know, get a whole school all excited to recycle or learn about this and learn about that. And you might have to go citywide, you might have to go to school board meetings, which is something I plan to do just to make a more broad change. But like I said, if you don't have that principal's approval, yes, you can do this, yes, I support you, it doesn't mean you're going to get money, because you don't need money to educate. If you don't have it, you're not going to get somewhere, and that's just my own personal belief, and from the experiences I've seen, that's the truth.
Robert, you got something to add?
Yeah,
on that?
I think I have a good experience with that. We used to have Power Down Day at my high school, and there was one teacher who would turn on all the heaters in his classroom and turn on all the lights for Power Down Day, just to kind of point out that he didn't agree. But the fact is that encourages discussion. It encourages you to actually teach people the facts and teach them what's really going on in the world. And it helps you, I think debate can actually foster an even better educational environment. So in that case, you can really use that to your advantage and kind of show them, well, no, this is actually the truth, and this is what we're doing about it, and that youth really can take action and take ownership over their future to have an impact.
To add on to what Robert said, I definitely agree with that last part where debate can definitely influence things, and also it actually helps you explain climate change. So I recently had someone that Facebook messaged me and was like, this doesn't exist, this is not real. And then I had to back myself up and say, you know what, it exists because of these reasons. Here's where you can go to find out more. So not only does it encourage that debate, but it encourages you to be better equipped to answer those questions. So there's definitely positives that come out of that.
Do you ever get discouraged that this is too big a problem, that it's too overwhelming, which is something that I hear pretty regularly, that this is depressing and we don't necessarily want to have the president talking about it all the time. It's too depressing. There's not enough hope out there in terms of our ability to tackle it.
Not at all. No problem is too big for anyone. Anyone can, like, honestly, it's true. And like, if you have the support of everyone and everyone attempts to make a solution and make a resolution, it's always going to happen. And no problem is big enough for a true human spirit.
I think you can also see it as an opportunity. I mean, I've gone out to Silicon Valley now, and you see, I mean, there are hundreds of clean tech startups, right? And I think that is trickling down to the high school level as well. As long as you see this as an opportunity instead of a challenge, or a challenge that you can overcome and make the world an infinitely better place by reducing our reliance on fossil fuels, improving our climate, that really empowers you to take action. It's a shift in your mind frame.
Well, we're hearing constantly from young students about what their careers look like in the future and how tied in clean tech is, or other climate change solutions. We had a challenge here where we asked different entrepreneurs to pitch business ideas. It was not connected to climate change, but this was a bunch of millennial type entrepreneurs, and more than half of the business proposals that came forward were connected to climate change. So this is really driving our economy overall, and then career choices. So I'm wondering, for you guys, how do you see your future? What do you think you're going to be doing 10, 15, 20 years from now? Sitting here in the White House somewhere making policy? Are you more interested in the business side of this, or what are your big ambitions for yourselves?
Okay, well, just for your last question, the more someone tells me no, the more I want to do it. Maybe it's that rebel side of me. But when somebody doesn't want me to do it, I'm going to do it, and I'm going to be even more motivated.
Good.
But I think that the world is a changing place, and it's never going to get perfect, and that just leaves more room for improvement. If there are no jobs right now for something about climate, there will be in the future. If you have that one door of opportunity to go into college, have even master in 2 degrees, and still have that one environmental aspect to it, you can never close the door to the real world and the problems that happen within it, because everything is tied to something else. I want to go into public health and medicine, but that doesn't mean that I'm not going to be able to make a change in the hospital I work at. It doesn't mean someone's going to tell me, no, you can't do this, you have to recycle this way, or you can't recycle here. I'll be able to do it. It doesn't matter what you go into, it's always going to come back around to the same problem, because it is such a global and nationwide thing that it is a huge problem in our world.
Well, in the public health space specifically, we had several deans of medical schools here not too long ago and started this conversation of how do you teach climate change in medical schools, and how does it change how nurses and doctors interact with their patients and the questions they ask. And it was fascinating because the deans were hearing from their students that they needed to have more curriculum in this space, but were struggling on what that curriculum looked like. So by the time you get to go through all of this, you'll be driving some of that conversation, I'm sure. How about for the rest of you?
I guess I'll go. What I see my future pretty much is maybe possibly go into policy making and make I just want to go to a place where I can truly know I'm actually helping somebody instead of trying to take something away from somebody. And that's why I'm trying to hopefully enter a realm in which I'm able to make a change and hopefully and have an impact on the environment as well, and continue what I'm doing right now.
Where do I see myself? In a classroom, probably. I want to be an educator, so I really want to. I think I get inspired by young, kids all the time. I just did an Easily lesson the other day, and oh, it was so great. We had all the different trash, and at the very end, we had all the kids get in groups and come up with different things that they could use them for. And these kids made musical instruments out of the soda cans and all sorts of stuff. And so things like that just inspire me to keep doing this. So that's where I see myself.
Yeah, I guess I'll round out the group with a whole different side. I think I've caught the Silicon Valley bug, but I kind of want to go into entrepreneurship and sustainable entrepreneurship. I'm an electrical engineering major at Stanford, and I've realized that the computer science majors, Stanford is one of the best computer science departments in the world, but they aren't involved in sustainability. They don't realize the opportunity, or there aren't the resources for them to get those opportunities. So I want to hopefully go into some intersection of engineering, computer science, and sustainability to create some of those really cool solutions that can really impact the climate.
Wonderful. Well, you guys are all so inspiring. I don't want to hog all the time. I think we have some time for some questions in the audience. If anybody has any, I'll ask one more just to let you think. But just anything that you might want to ask these guys about their experience and things that you could learn from teachers or students out there. So before we go to the audience questions, what do you think for yourselves that you're most proud of now when you think of the work that you've done? Obviously, people pick out the things that they think you should be recognized for, but is there something you haven't spoken about so far that you really felt was a big step forward, or is something that you want to work more on and that you're really excited about?
I'll elaborate more a little bit on my experience in Guatemala. I went to a really rural village, like I said, and I met this this mother of five. Sadly, she was quite in poverty, and her name was Doña Juana. And bringing that project and showing her how to use it, seeing her children using it, kind of brought us a smile, not to my face, but my whole team's face, because we saw that our project wasn't just like an idea. It was a reality. It was something that was applied. It's something that can actually have an impact. And when we took a video of it, I showed it to all of them. We saw the kids just smiling, just having a great time in general. And that made me realize that climate education it can be fun, it can be entertaining, it could be interesting, and it can make it, and it can be applied to someone's life and in many ways. And going global for our team was something that I'll never forget, and one of the best memories I have.
Yeah, that's awesome. This past summer, we planned the Fairfax County Environmental Education Conference, which was a huge step forward for me and my team, because we had 75 high school and college students there at the National Wildlife Federation. And the biggest accomplishment of the conference was that it was completely student-driven, student-run, student-organized. So just kind of seeing the empowerment of student leaders, I think that was great.
Something that really motivates me to be a better person, and it's not necessarily my achievement, but it's everybody's achievement. Last year, when I went back home to Europe just for a visit during the summer, I will never forget how much of a difference there was between about 5 or 6 years ago when I would visit to now. There's these big, huge recycling bins everywhere, and it's now law that they have to do this one certain way, and they cannot not do it. So I just think that how far some people have actually come, and how somebody in Eastern Europe with their closed mindsets and their guarded stereotypes and can change so much in such a way, just makes me incredibly happy that there is hope, and there always is hope. And yeah, it might not necessarily be something that I started. I can just continue to bring it forward to just other societies and other communities in anywhere that I travel. I'm a travel person. I love to travel, and I love just to see how diverse people are and how this one thing can completely change in just a matter of a few years, a few months, and it can have a difference immediately. So.
I think for me, this is a little bit outside of climate change, but I co-founded a nonprofit for STEM education called Project Best during high school, where high school students go into middle schools and teach them about science and technology through interactive programs. And we talked a little bit earlier about how important STEM education is in understanding climate change. So I think that it proves the power of students teaching students, whether it's high school to middle school or college to high school or middle school to elementary school. I think that students are able to connect with their peers really, really strongly, and that is something that's really powerful for the climate change world as well as STEM education.
Great. Fabulous. How about out there? Anybody have any questions for this impressive panel? Get some hands.
How are you guys doing? My name is Ricky Torrance. I'm an AP Environmental Science teacher at Washington Latin here in DC. You guys all have a wealth of experience outside of the classroom, which I think is awesome. But I was wondering, what experiences did you have in the classroom that impacted you?
I can definitely start with that. I don't want to put a bad light on my school because we've come so far, but I remember in freshman year, we just got the denied no that we cannot have our program, we cannot have what we wanted to do, which was just change the way that we were recycling. We were told no, but then once we actually gathered up a couple of more people and we showed the principle that we care and we want to change and actually do something for the better, it just completely changed, and we just saw this whole new side of this wonderful school. And I just think it's so great that it's so easy to come and bring about change to somebody's mindset just by, the voice that a couple of young teenagers just came together and showed them that experience. So, yeah.
So an openness.
Right. Yeah.
Inside the
It's
school
never
to a new idea.
Yeah. A door never closes.
Right.
Another one just opens. So I just like to think like that.
And we don't have to go all down the line. So any
Well,
other?
I took a class in college during my first quarter, and it was called Energy in the Industrial Revolution, Past, Present, and Future. And I got to visit the Tesla plant, which was really incredible. And I think some of those really cool field trips can really make an impact on students and help them to realize the opportunities as well as the challenges in climate change.
Yeah, just to reiterate that, I agree completely with the field trip idea. Chesapeake Bay Foundation has cool ones nearby, but even just bringing them outside and doing some different activities outside, I think those can all be really great and engaging. So definitely try to incorporate those.
A challenge for all the educators where field trips are getting more and more difficult to have these days. That's good, very good point. Other questions?
Hi, my name's Leah Cuspa. I'm here with Melinda from the Alliance for Climate Education. And this is about the President's announcement that he made on August 3rd around the Clean Power Plan final rule that puts the first ever regulations on carbon pollution from our nation's power plants. Robert, I know that you testified at the EPA alongside some of your classmates in support of a strong Clean Power Plan. And for the other panelists as well, what do you guys think about the new Clean Power Plan and the President's commitment to cutting carbon pollution from our power plants?
Well, we know what Robert thinks.
Well, I'll say it's absolutely necessary.
Unless you've totally changed your mind.
No, it's absolutely necessary, but it's also not totally sufficient. I think we need to go farther in terms of investing in clean energy, reducing fossil fuel subsidies, but we don't have to go too far into the politics, but I'll let everybody else talk.
It's a great step forward. It shows how far we're. Excuse me. It's a great step forward. It kind of shows how far we're actually going, and this is not just like a thing we're just saying. We're actually implementing it, and we're actually doing it.
And I think it provides hope that, the United States is a huge leader in the world for anything really, and it provides hope for other countries to, tag along. And maybe this is just the beginning, but there's also so many more opportunities and so much more to come in the future that can truly bring about change in this country and just show other countries that, we are doing this and they should too.
I think we need to be excited about it, but we also need to be skeptical and always keep ourselves on our toes, because what does that mean if you're going away from coal? Are you going towards fracking and natural gas? So you need to sort of think like that instead of, it's great to celebrate some things, but also think about what the alternatives are going to be and kind of the plan for the next step.
And the strategy here all along was to demonstrate what we could do on a domestic level heading towards the negotiations that we have in Paris at the end of the year. So leading by example, I mean, the really historic agreements that were announced between the United States and China really is showing, okay, here's what we can do on our front, and we are going to use every every little inch we have to push in this space to see if we can get other countries to step up and to do their part as well, and it's working. So that part, yes, we need to be pushing more, but it will be interesting to see over the next 6 months how these other countries come along and how far we can take this by the end of the year. We have a hand over here, 2 hands over here.
Robin Organ, Executive Director of Green Schools. Also, we are working to get ready for COP21. We are working with Friends on Cut the Red Tape and Friends in Paris as well as other countries. We have a student pledge, a parent pledge to bring climate education home as well as a whole school community. So we will be working and rolling things out as back to school happens in just a few weeks. So we work with thousands of schools across the country, and you all are highly motivated to take classes, to do things in the classroom, out of the classroom, out in your communities. What are the best engagement tools to reach your whole school community? Is it at football games? Is it in the theater? Is it in the whole school community? Is it through investing in classes? Does it take a mix? What's the formula for success to reaching not just the student in the environmental course or the club, but how do we start reaching the masses inside 133,000 public schools and more?
I think it just has to start somewhere. When you see somebody, when you see a group of students starting something and you see their motivation and you see how they're having fun with it, other students are going to tag along, and before you know it, it's the whole school. As long as it starts somewhere and there's just something that starts it, anybody, it can be anybody, any student, it will have an impact on everybody that sees that student do something. It will make them want to tag along. Like Jack said, with his project, which is amazing. People come ask him questions, and information just gets spread out so much on social media and all of the other outlets that teens use nowadays. So as long as it starts somewhere, I think it has the potential to go anywhere else and move further down the line.
I think just making it highly visible. So like at our school, or at my school at William & Mary, I'm really involved with the sustainable food movement, and so we'll do like demos, like vegan cookies or something out in the cafeterias, and that's a public place where a lot of people are going to be walking through. So regardless of whether or not they've previously been involved, allowing it in that public space, public area, just making it very visible to all the student population, you're going to get some new people who filter through. So I would say that is one strategy. The second strategy is, if you're in a high school educator, reaching out to the different clubs and focusing in on what their interest is and how it can relate. So again, like the cereal box folders, crafts, if you go to a very artistic club, like the art club or whatever, you could tie that in really easily. Same with theater, you could do like just tie in. So find what that club's interest is and find a kind of a point in between. But use all of those different clubs and you'll get a lot of different students.
We had heard that from some other college students, because even if folks are engaged in some other activity that they're really passionate about, you have a level of commitment from those students that you don't get from kids who are not in the clubs. So we heard from other college students that it was making that connection to other issues through climate that you could really expand the pool of people who are interested and understand what we're talking about. So it was interesting to hear you say the same thing.
I think there's a whole different set of organizations working on this, but early nature education is really important. You notice that at least 3 out of the 4 of us, and probably all 4 of us, had really important nature experiences early on in our lives that encouraged us to go into this field. So I think that getting students early and getting them outside is also really important.
It's all about that spark. If you find something a student is passionate about, he'll do it and he'll go along with it. Don't never underestimate a kid's drive, honestly.
So I can't miss this moment to just talk about one program that's starting in September, because I was at the Park Service before I had this job. And this spark, this ability to reach kids when they're really young. You listen to Administrator McCarthy talk about how when she was young, she ran around outside and would turn over a rock, and there's a whole ecosystem there. And the challenge we have now that kids, whether it's because it's not safe to be outside or whatever the concern is, are not spending as much time outdoors and don't have that moment where they really have the spark that excites this whole trend of activity and education. So having that experience, I also have 2 little kids and love watching them outdoors, because it's just joy, just pure joy to watch them discover. The president launched the Every Kid in a Park initiative, which will go live September 1st. And this will give every fourth grader in the country a free pass to every national park, public lands, public waters across the country for the entire educational year. And we are building out as much as we can, partnering with states, partnering with aquariums and schools to get the pass out so that families can use it, and then build out the transportation, because we know it's such a challenge to actually get kids to these places so that they can have that experience. So it starts this year, probably going to be a little rough as we work out some of the kinks, but the pass will be available as of September 1st, and there will be a website, everykidinapark.gov. So for any early education outreach that any of you do, I would love and sort of beg for your talk to your communities and your circles to get the awareness out so that folks actually go on and get the pass, and then we can get transportation dollars to the schools as well. All right, any other last questions? I think we might be one in the back. Oh.
I'm Tag Keano. I'm with Green Schools Alliance, and I'm a student at Princeton Day School. My question is, if you could teach one thing to every student in the U.S. regarding climate, what would it be and how would you do it?
Good question. Take notes on this one. You have like the Jeopardy
Ace.
clock.
I think the presentation we just saw is really, really cool, and also similar things. I mean, the NWF videos sound really, really cool as well. But those kind of really exciting, quick-paced, very visual materials are really, really useful, and I think that that's the best way, or at least the best method to get out to students.
I'll add on that. Yeah, I agree with Robert as well. That ACES did a pretty good job. Did a pretty good job on that. The whole DOT initiative, that's pretty easy and that's pretty simple and grab a kid's attention, and something like that can have a big impact, and that's all that matters.
So it depends on like kind of who you're teaching to, but a lot of times like documentaries are a great way. Years Living Dangerously sounds amazing. But then also for really young kids, like I mentioned before, greenhouse gas tag, like some of these different games where you actually have students pretending to trap the other students who are solar energy trying to run back. And so that's what we do. And then afterwards, we're like, well, so what were you representing? So know your audience, like know who you're trying to work with, but a game like that, and then talking about climate change and solutions, and just listening, having them talk to each other, because I think that's so cool. They have great ideas.
Well, I guess I'll say something too. But I couldn't have said it better myself. That presentation was just phenomenal, and I'm kind of sad that I've not heard about it till now, because it was very well put together, and it was so easy enough that, like I said, it just has to start somewhere, and sometimes all a kid needs is the opportunity to do something, and they will do it. As far as what you can teach somebody, just like she said, it only depends on if it's a high school student or a middle school student. If it's in middle school, start easy, start small, and show them that they can make a change, and maybe not show them all of the insane results of climate change now, but show them that it can have an impact. And once you go to high school, show them that the career opportunities for this kind of field, and show them what they can do with their lives to better impact our world as a whole.
Incredible. You guys are so inspiring. And I just want to end with a note about what's ahead of us over the next 6 months. I really do truly believe that we will look back at this particular year and what happened, not only coming out of the White House here with the Clean Power Plan and then the lead up to Paris, but just where we are as a nation at a turning point in how we look at climate change and what it means for our country. And all of you are the leaders that are going to pick up that baton and make those changes real. But the Pope is coming to the United States and will be addressing Congress at the end of September. His encyclical has a huge message about climate change and wildlife and the impacts for the world. Then beyond that, we will have lots and lots of activities as we lead up to the conversation in Paris. But this is now becoming a global effort. and all of the work that you're doing, all of the work that you're doing here, you are at the precipice of not being alone, which is exciting, and also really seeing the changes that we all work so hard for. So thank you for everything that you do today. Thank you for the inspiration. Thank you for all the friends and people that you will bring along in this conversation this year and well into the future. So thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.
Thank you. How could you not be proud to live in the United States right now?